Yes, but I was with you guys last year. Yeah, we had started the NRP then, but I had been declared for the position of the President of the Federal Republic as at then. And, you know, when you told me you guys are coming to the NAV Center, I said, wow, you guys have made money. It's not easy to be here, so kudos, my brother. You guys are doing really well. Yes, but yeah. Now, well, we're not supposed to be campaigning, so I'm just going to talk about my ideas around the economy and why we're here and what the youth can begin to think about at this point in time. Before it came, the gentleman, Mike Esemi, I think he has left, did raise some of the points that I was going to speak about. Part of it is the whole idea behind the revolution that's going to take place in 2019, which has already begun now, is the emancipation of the youth of this country. For too long we have been beaten down. For too long we have heard all that story about go and start something. And you will always hear that, go and start something, there's no job, go and start something. From people who have never done anything in their life, apart from depend on Nigeria.
That's right.
People who have been getting salaries and getting allowances and traveling all over the world on behalf of Nigeria, on behalf of you. And they tell you go and start something. They don't know what entrepreneurship is about. They don't know what Nigerian entrepreneurs are going through. And then you say we should go and start something, but the whole idea is the purchasing power in Nigeria is so low. We have many youth who have started one thing or the other, but they are actually struggling right now. To sell anything is a problem. Is this where we're supposed to be? However, having said this, the solution to every Nigerian problem actually lies with the youth. I mean, it took a Bill Gates to come here and remind us that we were not investing in human capital the way we should. That we were actually pursuing infrastructure. And if you ask World Bank and all those other agencies, they will tell you that it is all this infrastructure project that actually houses some of the largest amounts of corruption you can get in Nigeria. And not only in Nigeria, all over the world. So when you come and just try to bamboozle people with this idea of we're building infrastructure, oftentimes what you are doing is trying to collect a lot of bonds. What they call bonds, which is corruption money. And the man was saying, listen, why don't you guys invest in the people, in the human resources of this country? Why don't you invest in the youth of this country? As a matter of fact, a lot of people got him wrong. He wasn't talking about creating schools, perhaps, or increasing the budget in education. Investing in the youth of this country and in our human resources goes way, way further than merely just sending people to school. It actually entails ensuring that your youth population matures on time because you're going to saddle them with the development of their country. It actually entails giving this country back to the youth of this country. That's what it entails. And I'm saying to you that the solution to every of Nigeria's problem lies in the youth. The last time I was on this podium, which is a few months ago, they were having an electricity forum here. And all the big men were there, seated down, you know. I came in very briefly. And I asked a question. We had the GENCOs, the DISCOs, the TCN, we had the meter manufacturers, and we had the bankers seated in. And every one of them was complaining how, they can't find money to finance the Nigerian electricity system. It happens to be a system that is broken. The last thing that happened in the Nigerian electricity sector, the power sector, is actually that a new project was launched called the Azura Energy. Azura Energy, it cost Nigeria $990 million. Though it was privately financed, but of course the money still comes back to be paid by the government. $990 million, short of $1 billion, was used to generate 453 megawatts. And that 453 megawatts was thrown into the system, and nobody can actually say that anything has improved for them where they need it. The same system in February this year, news came out that Nigeria had 2,000 megawatts of stranded energy. And I wrote recently an article in Premium Times, which I titled The Stranded Power of Nigeria's Human Resources. In the same way as you were generating energy, when we say energy stranded, meaning you have generated, pumped it into the system, and lost the energy. You can't store the energy. You can only store energy in things like generator, like in batteries, like in inverter, and then you discharge it later. So if you use $990 million to generate 450 megawatts, or however you're using 2,000 megawatts on a daily basis, that means you're not thinking right. And so I told them on that day that this problem seems not to be about finance anymore. Citibank was here. That Citibank and these other banks, what you guys I think you should be doing now is to invest this money in the Nigerian youth. Imagine $990 million in the different engineering departments of our polytechnics and universities around this country. Imagine that people will go to school and instead of going for a certificate, you'd actually be going for projects, real stuff that you can put your hands on. Who says you cannot go to university or polytechnic as an engineering student and get paid some money for some of the small projects you're doing, which is targeted as solutions to the Nigerian problem? Who says? But they are not thinking in that direction, let me tell you. As Mr. Semie said, and as Shore also mentioned, because the enemy is here. The people who cannot think, the digital thinkers who cannot see things outside the box anymore. When someone hasn't gone to school since 1984, not even an executive program, what can you know? We live in the age of the fourth industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution was powered by steam. It was that steam that allowed the British to conquer the world. They came to Africa here, they loaded slaves. They packed our things for free. George Goldie sold Nigeria. This old territory called Nigeria was sold on the 1st of January 1900. 1st of January 1900. This old territory was sold itself like a slave, like a commodity, for £859 by the what's it called now? The company run by Lugard and Royal Niger Company, which has become UAC today. This country was sold with the people inside. This country was sold with all the resources. This country was sold, even with including the generations yet unborn. This country was sold. And so those people can't see anything. The first industrial revolution powered by steam, second powered by electricity. The world will produce a lot more and reach a lot further. The third was powered by the internet. Now we're in the age powered by artificial intelligence. The reason why most people are going to be poor and jobless is because artificial intelligence is taking over those jobs from the US, from Japan, from China. You are going to be feeling the effects here, directly or indirectly. Anyway, so let's fire on. So, the entrepreneurship focus is one thing that has been used to confuse our youth. And I heard David Taiwo saying what some of the things that Yes4GI has done in terms of promoting entrepreneurship. Fantastic idea. Keep pushing those who can. But let's not deceive ourselves. I did my research and found out that in what they call the OECD countries, comprising all the countries that work in the world, from Norway to US to UK to Japan, the percentage of public sector workers to all the workers in those countries is 20%. In the UK it is 21%. 21% of every worker works for government. The biggest employer of labour in the UK is the NHS, National Health Service. If you know anybody there, chances are that they work for the NHS. Those countries are not being responsible by ensuring that their people are employed. You throw Nigerian youths out into the fans of the market, into the fans of society. You tell them, go and sort yourself out. That is irresponsible, especially because you have never done one-day business in your life. In the UK, in the US, the percentage of public sector workers is 17% of everybody that work. The largest employer of labor in the US is the United States Department of Defense. They find their people all around the country, US Navy, Air Force, CIA, NIA, whatever the case may be. Those countries are responsible. When you go to the Norwegian countries, the Scandinavian countries, you find 30-32%. But what we have in Nigeria is a small, toxic, and top-heavy public sector, civil service. Small, toxic, and top-heavy. ineffectual and corrupt. There are opportunities to employ Nigerian youth. Why are you not employing them? If you ask me where are the jobs, I'll say take your mind to the villages. Recently I was listening to Jerry Rawlings speaking in an interview. He said when he became the head of state in Ghana, he took some small planes and flew to some villages in some helicopters and found out that the model of development that has been running in Africa, post-independent, is one that totally neglects the villages. You take their food for cheap. The farmer goes to the farm and plants yam for 9 months. He's spending the yam. By the time he harvests, everybody is harvesting at the same time. They go to the market, we price it for 2 for 10 kobo. You buy it off them and then they go back to their family. And you want their children, their sons, to remain with them in the villages. Until we find a model by which we will redevelop the villages and so that the youth of this country can know that there's nothing wrong in living in the villages. You know, that until then, this country will not go forward. I realize that we have never had any plan for housing for our villagers. All their mud houses are collapsing where they stand. There's no town planning, no government whatsoever. You go to our villages and our small towns, our small cities, you see there's no government whatsoever. Governance in Nigeria does not go past Abuja here and the state capitals, where the governors are actually running fiefdoms. So when we talk about restructuring, and we talk about giving more powers to the governors, and apologies to my sister here, Bolanle Sarumi, who's coming in as the next governor of Oyo State, beautiful governor. Apologies to you. We need to whittle down the powers of the governors. As a matter of fact, what we should be thinking about now is this whole FARC arrangement, where people share money. The federal government does not need more than 25%. The states can get 35%. The local government should get 40%. The next level of development in Nigeria resides in the local government. And it resides with the youth of Nigeria and what they are able to make of those local governments. I told them here that day, I said, Oga, what you should do with all the money you want to spend, the $990 million that you have just spent, the $500 million that President Buhari has gifted to Donald Trump in advance for 2 years, that money should be going to empower the youth of Nigeria. Should be going to the university, go to University of Ife, go to University of Ado-Ekiti, go to University of Jos, go to University ABU, go to Paris University, go to their department, go to their lecturers. Instead of sexually transmitted degrees, let's get something real coming out of those universities and those polytechnics. Go there and incentivize them. $1 million will do a lot of magic in those places. And you say, listen, go to the nearest village to you, go and power that village. I told them here, you're pumping money into a system that leaks. It leaks at a supersonic rate. We were here. TCN was telling them that, look, TCN was telling the GENCO that, GENCO, please don't produce power because our system cannot take it. If you produce too much, the system collapses. That system has collapsed almost 20 times this year. Since January, on the 2nd of January was the first nationwide collapse. Why? They said somebody was burning some bush in Okada area. And the gas was disrupted and the entire system shut down. For about 2 days, there was no electricity in the whole country except we had a generator. I told Citibank, give that money to the department. Let our youth go to university and know that they're not going there to acquire certificates. Let them know that they're going there to solve the problems of Nigeria. That's what we should be thinking about. There's nothing wrong in creating a new set of spenders, a new class of spenders, people who have never seen money before, struggling students who are struggling through university, through polytechnic. Because at the end of the day, if you ask me, we don't have a problem with graduate unemployment. The problem we really have is actually that we took our eyes off the ball. Secondary school is the standard anywhere in the world. Go to the US, all you need once you're out of secondary school, you learn a skill. You live on the same street, you're a plumber. Your next door neighbor is a dentist. There's nothing he can eat that you can't eat. There's no, listen, you know, some of us, we travel around. And you go to places like Dubai, for those who go there frequently, you see the number of British people who come there for vacation. Most of them are low-income earners in Britain. Taxi drivers. You see the number of old people pensioners. And the other time I said to myself, when is it going to be that the pensioner in Nigeria, on the level of his pension, with the power of his pension, will say, listen, I want to go to Gambia for a vacation. We neglected them because of this greed, this insanity that has seized hold of the country and its leaders, its so-called leaders. It's only insanity can describe what's going on. Listen, Nigeria is the most misgoverned country in the world. And it is left to the youth of this country to take their country back. I've helped you already with the slogan there. Alright, but I assure you, mine is not taking it back. I'm running a revolution of ideas. Alright, we're running a revolution of ideas. We don't have guns, we don't have money. But we have our passion. We have our passion, we have our skills, we have our network around the world. We have our savviness, we have our strength. And on that basis, we're going to take it back.
That's right. Take it back.
And so, what I'm proposing is simple. Number one, that Nigeria's economy should be growing at double digits. Look, when you say people should go into entrepreneurship, I mean, I've lived here in Abuja. I remember when El Rufai imported London cabs, and they pushed a lot of people to go and buy those London cabs. They were not tropicalized. Under 2 years, they were using those London cabs to carry goods. Goods in this town. People lost money. They brought 406. People went and pushed money into it. Abuja Mass Transit, whatever. They lost money. People who have not done businesses before. You are lucky you are sitting down there collecting extra code from government. You are telling us about entrepreneurship. Come and ask some of us. The next person that should run this country should not be a hard boy civil servant who have been sitting down making assumptions about what is possible and what is not. It should be someone who has tried his hand on running companies and seeing how things are done in this country. And this economy should grow at least 20% every year. It's easy. If you put people to work, it's all about GDP calculation. With all our unemployed youth, if they had something to do, even if it was 2-3 hours of work every day, 2-3 hours of work, light work, and abounding all over the country, you would have actually increased the GDP by 20-30%. The tragedy of what we have now is that Nigerian government is planning on 1.6% growth this year. You are doing 1.6% growth, your inflation is doing 13 to 20%, depending on whose figure you believe, and banks are lending money at 30%. How are you going to survive? I mean, so let's not just be joking about these things. I'll soon be rounding up. So, I mean, of course, the same is what you see. The collapse of everything is the reason why 50% of our policemen are busy carrying bags around for people's girlfriends. It's a tragedy. And that is true. 50% are carrying bags. Another 25% of that number is ghost police. They release the figures officially themselves. In this country, I still read yesterday about 20,000 ghost pensioners that somebody said he has taken off. Every government comes and tells you that they have taken out ghost workers, ghost pensioners. The next government will come and say they've discovered new ones. We know who benefits from all these ghost things. And what do they do with that money? They don't even know how to spend the money. You go around, you spread the money around the world, buying mansions that you will never live in. And waste the rest. In Abuja here alone, have you done the census? There's probably about 300,000 mansions that are unoccupied in Abuja today. And then you tell me how you have a housing problem when everybody is planning for luxury housing only. Give me 1 second more. You cannot be building houses for the masses and you're saying, no, there's swimming pool and all of that. So those guys, the few people who stole the money have purchased those places and they can't find someone to sell them to. We should be having rural renewal, not only urban renewal. We should be going to those villages to help our people rebuild their houses. Our leaders are not in touch. And the examples. President Xi Jinping last year was watching on YouTube, or just last year, going to the villages of China, went up the hill. He didn't go there with blaring sirens. He gave them respect. We have never had a leader in this country, almost. I don't know, maybe in the Murtala days, we have never had a leader in this country? Who are you as a leader when you treat your people like detritus? You treat them with disdain. You hold them in disdain. Xi Jinping went to his people in China last year. He sat on their bed. He said, look, let me taste the water you drink. They gave him he tasted the water. He tasted their food. He asked them, what do you think? What are your aspirations? The old man told him, he said, look, I built this house in 1950 something. Well, if I have money, I will roof it. He wasn't going there to share money to people. Go and look at the Chinese, their budget speech for this year. You will see, I wrote an article, I've not even pushed it out. You will see the reason why China is going forward and Nigeria is going backward. The budget was talking about the people of China. It was saying that the people of China, you guys are building this country. The people are building this country and the people must benefit from the growth of this country. He was giving the people hope. He was thanking the people for what they've done. Then you go and read Nigeria budget, you're telling me how you did one road and did one rail. And it was inanimate. You're dealing with people here, you're telling me of some projects you built which you can't even complete. You have absolutely no input whatsoever in all those projects in terms of the technology that put them together. We have to begin to invest in the Nigerian youth, and now the Nigerian youth to begin to get the capability to build their own country. And so, lastly, I will talk about the issue of uniting. What I want us to do. My friend Shore is here. Oluwamiwa Favor is here. We are speaking. All right? The last time I checked, I think there are almost 100 people who want to go for Nigeria's presidency. I like it. I would even want there to be 2,000 youths who are going for this thing. So that those people will know that finally these boys are hungry and these ladies. You are not lazy youth, right? So we want them to know there's no better memo than that we're writing to them. Enough already. So let us heat up the system. We will heat up the system. We will let them know that this is the time. Coming together, agreeing on one person, that won't take more than a day or less. But before we get to that point, we have to make our point. And we have to do what? We have to put in our best ideas. By the time we're pushing someone forward, it's got to be the one with the best ideas. All of us are going to go out there and with all humility, we're going to talk to the Nigerian people. Toure has set the pace. He's setting the pace right now. With a lot of respect for that gentleman. After you say that, take it back. You also have to say revolution of ideas. Now we're talking. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Toure, for lending me your crowd.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tope Fasua. Ladies and gentlemen, can we once again put our hands together for Mr. Tope Fasua? Okay, quickly we're moving to the next segment.